Welcome to Old Casebook. Today, we explore the mysterious disappearance of a family in the French Alps, a case that turned into something far more disturbing. This is the Flactif family murders. Let's begin. In the spring of 2003, the alpine village of Les Gros-Borong in France sat quietly beneath snow-dusted peaks, surrounded by wooden chalets and winding forest roads. It was a place built on tourism, seasonal workers, and wealthy visitors seeking fresh mountain air. Among its residents was Xavier Flactif, a property developer who had arrived years earlier with ambition as sharp as the mountain cold. He built, rented, and sold luxury chalets across the region, gaining money, influence, and a reputation that divided opinion, admired by some, quietly resented by others. Xavier lived in a large chalet in Chinon with his partner, Graziella Ortolano, and their 3 children, Sarah, Letitia, and Gregory. On the surface, they lived a comfortable life, blending into the rhythm of the village, with the children attending nearby schools and everything appearing normal. But behind closed doors, Xavier's world was beginning to collapse. His business was falling apart. Debts were mounting, construction projects had stalled, and bills were left unpaid. Authorities had previously investigated him for financial misconduct, and many of his companies were registered under Graziella's name. Still, none of this hinted at the darkness that was about to unfold. Around this time, Graziella's adult son from a previous relationship, Marielle Leblanc, arrived at Lyon airport, planning to spend time with the family. A taxi arranged by the Flactif family drove him through the quiet mountain roads to the chalet. But the moment he arrived, something felt wrong. The house was locked. No one answered the door. Yet inside, lights were still on, and the curtains were drawn. The dining table was set, as if a family meal had been suddenly interrupted. The Flactif family had vanished. At first, police suspected a car accident in the mountains, a common danger in alpine regions, but no wreckage was found, and no hospitals had admitted anyone matching their description. Then, a more troubling discovery emerged. The family's Toyota Land Cruiser was found abandoned in the parking lot of Geneva Airport, across the Swiss border. It didn't look like panic. It looked deliberate. With no bodies, no ransom demands, and no clear explanation, investigators began to consider another possibility: that Xavier had fled the country with his family, escaping financial ruin. At first, the theory seemed plausible, but when police carried out a second, more detailed search of the chalet, everything changed. The house appeared spotless, too spotless. Forensic teams used chemical agents that revealed what careful cleaning had tried to hide: blood. Traces were found on floors, walls, and even between wooden boards, washed but impossible to erase completely. DNA tests confirmed the blood belonged to all 5 family members. Even more disturbing, investigators discovered tiny fragments of children's teeth along with a spent bullet casing. In an instant, the case shifted from a missing family to a suspected mass murder. More evidence surfaced in the abandoned Toyota. The trunk lining had been removed and the vehicle had been thoroughly cleaned. But forensic analysis revealed what the eye could not. Among the DNA samples was a 6th profile, someone who did not belong to the family. Now, police were no longer searching for missing persons. They were hunting a killer. In the weeks that followed, divers searched rivers, cavers explored underground chambers, and forests were combed relentlessly. Yet the family remained missing, and the mystery only deepened. Hundreds of people in the area voluntarily gave DNA samples, but still, no bodies were found. Living nearby was a mechanic named David Hotiet. He and his partner, Alexandra Lev, had moved to the region a few years earlier and were renting a chalet from Xavier Flactif himself. Alexandra had once worked as a cleaner for the family during their time on television. The couple appeared openly hostile towards Xavier, describing him as arrogant, accusing him of shady business dealings, and complaining about broken promises, their bitterness impossible to ignore. When police requested DNA samples, David initially refused, a decision that immediately raised suspicion. Soon after, forensic labs made a breakthrough. The unknown DNA matched David Hotiat. Police quietly placed the couple under surveillance, and phone taps soon revealed alarming conversations suggesting involvement and hinting that two friends, Stefan and Isabel Herzer, might also be connected. In September 2003, a coordinated operation involving dozens of officers moved in, and all four were arrested. Confronted with the DNA evidence, David broke. Within hours of custody, he confessed to killing the entire Flactif family. He then led investigators deep into a forest near Thorn, a secluded area miles from the village. There, among blackened earth and ash, lay the buried remains of 5 bodies. The family had been taken there and set on fire in an attempt to erase all evidence. Autopsies later confirmed violent deaths, gunshot wounds, blunt force trauma, and stabbing injuries, making it one of the most brutal family murders France had seen in decades. According to the reconstruction, David had gone to the Flactif chalet to confront Xavier over money, housing disputes, and years of growing resentment. The argument escalated, and David later claimed he fired a gun without thinking it would discharge, but the shot struck Xavier. Panic followed. To silence any witnesses, he turned on the rest of the family. Graziella and the children were killed one by one. Afterward, with help from Alexandra and the Herzas, the bodies were transported to the forest, burned, and the chalet was meticulously cleaned. Personal belongings, laptops, phones, and electronics were stolen and kept. Investigators believed the motive was a toxic mix of jealousy, obsession, financial resentment, and rage at the life Xavier had built. David wanted what Xavier had, and when he couldn't have it, he destroyed it. Weeks later, David attempted to withdraw his confession, claiming mysterious strangers had committed the murders and forced him to help dispose of the bodies. But the evidence was overwhelming. Phone records, DNA, witness testimony, and stolen property. His accomplices eventually admitted to planning elements of the crime. Psychological evaluations described David as emotionally detached, driven by control and resentment, and capable of extreme violence. The killings had not been impulsive, they had been prepared. In 2006, the case went to trial. Over weeks of testimony, jurors heard about years of simmering jealousy, financial struggles, and growing hatred among neighbors. They were shown crime scene photos, listened to forensic experts, and heard in detail how the children had died. The courtroom remained silent as the full horror unfolded, and the verdicts were swift. David Hotiat was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 22 years before parole eligibility. Alexandra Lev received 10 years for her role in planning and covering up the crime. Stefan Herzer was sentenced to 15 years, and Isabel Herzer received 7. David's brother, who had helped dispose of the murder weapon, was given a suspended sentence. David later appealed, then abruptly withdrew it, accepting his fate. Further investigations revealed that the group had previously set fire to one of Xavier's chalets under construction and had committed multiple burglaries in the area. What began as envy had spiraled into criminal obsession long before the murders. The Flactif case left a permanent scar on the quiet alpine community. The chalet where the family once lived became a symbol of unspeakable violence, a place once filled with children's laughter, now remembered as a crime scene etched into French history. What made this massacre so chilling was not just its brutality, but its ordinariness. There was no criminal mastermind hiding in the shadows, no stranger passing through town. The killer was the neighbor, a reminder that sometimes the greatest danger doesn't come from the outside. Sometimes it lives right next door. And that's the story of the Flactif family murders, a case that still sends chills to this day. Thanks for watching Old Casebook. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for more real cases. See you in the next one.